Soul Collage is a journey home to yourself. It's an intuitive process that uses the power of images. Images has the power to unlock our inner wisdom. The process of Soul Collage is very simple, very easy. You just sit and you look at images. You let images select you. You select an image that you say, wow, why do I like that? Put it aside. Or you could take an image that just repels you, repulses you in some way. Set it aside. Then you come back after you've collected your images and you put them together. You make a small collage card, 5 by 8, and then you journal to that card. You jump into that image. You let that image speak to you. That's your inner wisdom that's guiding you. This card has the image of a woman with an owl. I selected that woman because I was so drawn into the expression on her face. It somehow just spoke to me. Something about the owl with its wing out. And when I put them together, it just felt so right. It like clicked. I didn't know why. But when I journaled to the card is when she spoke to me, saying, this is how I'm living, out of desperation, out of fear. And the owl was there as, wow, I have a protector. I could feel it on my own heart at the time when I journaled to it. And I suddenly felt like, yes, I'm living in desperation, but there's some sense of protection. After looking at this card for several weeks, one morning she spoke to me with a different voice. She says, I am living in gratitude. I have such protection. I no longer have worries or fears because I am so protected and my life is filled with abundance. If you're stuck with life decisions, if you are dealing with loss, if there are changes that you want to make in your life and you just don't know where to turn and where to go, give Soul Collage a try. You'll be amazed at the process of coming home to yourself.
This would be an awful torture if someone made you clean a whole floor this week. I can imagine it being in that movie, Mommy Dearest. Clean the floor. There's this old woman who lives in my apartment building, and her body literally is like this. So she's never able to look up, and she literally walks like this. I'm just wondering what has happened in her life that her body went from this, and over time, that all she could see was this. I miss so much of what's around you. When I was a kid, I always wanted one of those easy bake ovens, you know, with the light bulb in it, and you put the little batter in there and it comes out a little cake. I remember looking in the Sears catalog every year at Christmas. I want an easy bake oven. I never got one. I don't know if I ever asked for it, but it was sort of a secret fantasy.
I remember when I got the word. Welcome to the Ecstatic Death group. We're so happy that you're here. So how this all came about is that Carter and I had a dream, two separate dreams that were freakishly similar, and it was about death.
On the same night.
On the same night.
Yeah.
So this happened 2 nights ago.
Carter, do you want to talk about your dream, and then I'll talk?
Yeah,
about
I had this dream that I was dying, that somebody had hit me over the head with a rock, and I was laying on the ground, and there was some sort of device in my head that allowed me to communicate with people in the outside world. And Eileen came up to me, and as I was dying, I said, "I think I'm dying." And she said, "It's going to be okay." And I said, "But I think I'm really dying." And I started giving her all these messages in case I died. I'd tell my son this and my dad this and all of that. And then I looked at her in the face, and her pupils and her eyes started to go down. And it was like, I'm dying, and then it slowly just faded away. And then I rushed in the next Eileen that story because I don't remember my dreams, so I felt like that was pretty interesting. And then Eileen said,
and then I couldn't believe it. As Carter's telling me this story, I'm starting to tear up because I had a dream, and I never remember my dreams, and you don't either, right?
Right.
That there was a very profound death, and I don't know who it was in my dream, but I woke up feeling very, very heavy, sad, but also knowing that it was this archetypal rebirth, that something in me had to die. And it makes sense because I've given up a lot of different things in my life. You know, I've changed my life around a lot. And I took that dream as something that had to die to be, for something new to be created. So then Carter and I said, why don't we do something around this for our Ecstatic States class? And is there something, is ecstatic death possible? Is there something around ecstasy? Yes, we all usually think of, oh, sorry, Preston, I'll usually think of death as sad, but is it possible that there could be ecstasy in that? And then we thought a lot about all the things, all the practices that we've done that are ecstatic, that can also incorporate death into all of those. So what we're going to do today, and we appreciate your being so willing because you have no idea what we're doing, and maybe we don't either, but it's something that, it's called Body Tales. And we would like for you all to do maybe a 2 to 3 minute participatory exercise with us, and I'll lead, I'll be the guinea pig. So what Body Tales is, and keep in mind that this performance will be around, you know, the lens of, you know, any loss that you've had in your life. It doesn't necessarily have to be death, but loss. You're going to choose a body part, and then Body Tales is a movement therapy that is actually a combination of, it comes from the theater world and from the somatics world. And I first did Body Tales at dance camp, this one time at dance camp a few years ago.
Good.
And it was very, very, very powerful. So usually Body Tales is, one person goes for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and the witnesses, people gather around and witness. And I think what's really important in this exercise is that the witnessing is just as important as the person who's getting up there, you know, doing their performing. So it's holding that container. So what I'm going to do is I'll start, and I'll choose a body part, and it's going to be a story. And I haven't really rehearsed this, and it always works better that way. And the story will be, and I'll do some movement too, and it'll be around some kind of loss that I've had. So I'm going to take a minute. Okay. What is speaking to me right now in my body is my knee. And I'm asking my knee what needs to be said, what story needs to be told. And I'm thinking of my mom. I was at my mom's bedside. My mom had dementia and she passed away. And I am going to act out. Mom, I love you, and I'm feeling really sad right now. But I'm here with you, and it's okay to go. And I know that you have wanted this for a while, and you'll be there with Dad and Beth and Kenneth and Alice and everyone. And it's really okay to go. Thank you for everything that you did as a mom, and I know that you did your absolute best, as we all did. And what I'm feeling is, you know, growing up with my mom, I love my mom, but there was a lot of chaos, a lot of just, chaos in my life growing up. Like a tornado. Tornado. But you know, after a while, I found my roots. The trunk of the tree. I got grounded. And I worked a lot on forgiving my mom. And I'm a sequoia. I'm an oak. Looking for the light and the nurturing from all the other trees and the roots. So I'll end with my knee. I knelt by my mom, and she passed, and it was very peaceful. And I've worked on a lot of love and forgiveness for my mom, and I still love her, and I talk to her every day. Thank you. And I think it's Carter's turn.
Oh, good. Okay. You sure you don't want to go next?
I have an appointment at 11:30, so
Should probably go next.
no, I should go after Carter. You won't. You're not going to take 15 minutes.
I'm not going to take too long. Okay. The body part that's speaking to me is right here. I don't know what that's called, but right here. And I'm imagining that I'm sitting in a bathroom stall in a bar in San Francisco with a needle in my arm. And that my name is Patrick, and that I die. And I just want to live in that loneliness for a minute because this Patrick was, I've had other deaths in my life, but he was somebody that I didn't know that well, but had a huge impact on me because I wouldn't be here working in this field if it weren't for that death. That death propelled a number of decisions for me that ended up getting me into school to be a therapist and to work here. I met him here, and he changed my life. And I know that he died lonely and afraid and had so many people that cared about him, but he died very alone. And so I just want to kind of be with him for a minute and let him know how grateful I am for his death, because his death changed my life in a positive way. And I don't want him to have died, but I'm grateful that I can make some positive meaning out of that death, and that I can recognize that it did something good in the world, and I want him to know that. So I'd like to be with him for a minute and let him know that. And that's all I got.
So there's like a broad range that we can go off of. We don't have to like dance or anything, right?
Dancing would be cool.
Dancing would be cool. So,
Or any movement, you know. And
can you not zoom in on me though? It's not flattering. Thank you.
You have orientation soon.
Very good. I feel like that got me going. And what I'm feeling is my body is telling me that I am feeling in my hands and more so in my fists. Because when I think of like the shape of a fist, I think of anger. And what I know from my experience recently is that loss is not always death. And loss comes in many, many forms. I've been experiencing a lot of loss lately, and it's been making me feel very angry. And I feel like sometimes I always want to just dig under the anger immediately and like find what it's secondary to without just honoring the anger for a moment. And what comes up for me right now is my clean date is in like 5 days. It'll be 6 soon. And thank you. And everyone I got clean with is getting loaded. And everyone that I got clean with initially is trying to be normal and like drink and smoke weed like normal people. I feel disrupted and that makes me angry. And I feel like there's a definite lack of acceptance. I'm still like holding on with my hands to these people that I care for deeply, and I'm angry about the dynamics of our relationship changing, and I'm angry that it feels like people are making stupid choices, and I need to come to a place where I can separate my experience from other people's and allow people to be who they are. But in the moment, like I feel very unaccepting and very angry. So I feel that in my hands. And one of the things that I always like to remind myself of is that no matter what the circumstances are, I really liked the tree. I like to about the tree. Because one of like my mantras that I always come back to, or like meditative practice, is like to remind myself that like that I am a mountain. Because no matter what happens, whether it be, you know, rain or snow, the mountain is always a mountain, no matter what circumstances occur. So like in this moment, I can allow myself to feel the feelings of anger around this loss that I'm experiencing, around essentially like losing my friends. And like I'm sure with time, like that anger will evolve into something a little more vulnerable. But for right now, I feel very defended and angry, and it's showing up in my hands. Thank you, Kylie. You're welcome, Eileen.
Sitting here watching you do your story, and giving your body space to let you know what part of your body was speaking to you, got me thinking, you know, what part of my body is speaking to me, and most of the time it is this way for me, but it's my back. I have back pain, pretty much all the time, and sitting like this and thinking of, you know, maybe what is my body trying to remind me of, think of a moment, I think 5 years ago for me, where I was sitting on a curb, and I was getting ready to leave the city that I grew up in, and I was with a young woman that I'd been dating, and I was kind of saying goodbye to her. And we sat on this curb in front of her house for probably a couple hours, not wanting to leave or get up. And sitting down on a curb, especially with my knees up and with my arm around this other person, whenever I do that for a long time, my back starts to really, really hurt. But I kept prioritizing that moment. And I think for me, that was a symbol of not wanting to let this person go. There's a fear of letting the person go that kept me putting that moment in front of my own bodily needs, which was a theme in other parts of that relationship, and ultimately was a really good thing that relationship had ended. But in a way, my back pain can show up and remind me that I need to keep an eye on my own needs sometimes. And that's a hard thing it's a hard thing for me to talk about, is my own needs. And it's an easy thing for me to try and put on the shelf, but what happens is I get pain. And I've been trying to connect that pain to fear recently. And if I can understand the root of the pain is fear, then what am I afraid of? I'm afraid of telling people what my needs are. I'm afraid of telling people what my needs are, so my body wants to communicate pain to me. Because I can't access the emotional pain of not communicating my needs. And so that's what that reminded me of.
Thank you. Jonathan.
Good morning, and sorry for being late. I actually, interestingly enough, was on the phone with the doctor making an appointment for my knee. So what's speaking to me today is my knee. I injured my knee somehow. And the doctor asked me, they said, well, how did you injure your knee? Was it work-related or? And I said, gosh, I'm not sure. I work security. I have another job. And so I could have hurt it there. But I also have 3 kids. And they could have hit it. They could have hurt it playing with them too. So I think about this, my right leg, my knee, and the loss that I've experienced. My first son passed away. My wife at the time, full-term pregnancy. Last appointment, the doctor said there's no heartbeat. And so she had to deliver him. And I was about 7 years clean at the time. And it shook my whole foundation of recovery, my faith in higher power. And it was very difficult. But at the same time, I had seen this therapist, and we did some grief work around that. And the therapist had said, if you could say anything to your son right now, what would it be? And I had all this stuff that I wanted to say, like I didn't know there was anything wrong, and I wished I could have been a good dad to you and showed you nature and cars and women and just, dad stuff, sports. And he said, okay, now if your son was here right now, what would he say to you? And he would say, don't grow old and bitter over my death. I want you to be the man that I know you can be for, you know, any future children, or, you know, just be a good person and a good dad, and I know you have what it takes. And so little did I know I would end up having, you know, more children, and those children would end up injuring my knee. And this leg and this knee have are able to do that, you know, are able to carry the weight and the love of my first son that I lost into doing all those things that I wanted to do for him, for my kids that I have now. So whether that's throwing the baseball around, you know, practicing soccer, all the things that I continuously do with them, or even if I heard it at my other job, which is about providing for them so they can do the things that they want to do. You know, so this knee's carried a lot of weight, and this knee hurts a lot right now. And this knee is also, this leg is also significant because I've tattooed my son's footprints, the baby that passed away, on this leg right here, this knee. Those are actually the footprints of my son from his death certificate. So this knee has put in some work. Thank you.
Okay. I'm the videographer.
No one gets out of this alive.
I'm not sure. Okay. I have so many body parts. It's like I could go, there's so much story with different ones, you know. I was thinking that I needed to try to put someone I've lost to death, like fit that into the box somehow. And I have lost people to death. But I'm feeling like that would be forced right now. And so I think it's between my stomach and my leg. And I think I will go with my stomach, my torso. And but it feels like it's kind of like there's an anxiety of the world, and this is padding, this is protection, and it's also some comfort, and also some shame or block. And I feel like, you know, I see a loss of life and connection to the whole, to anyone, anything, through addiction and heroin. It's like the ultimate comfort, ultimate padding, but ultimate isolation. I see food and, you know, sloth and, you know, holding up and being comfortable and escaping into other realities, like TV. I see that as also this like comfort and protection. And yeah, I think, I don't want to get too deep, but I feel like Mom's in there somehow. Like, I'm not sure, but I'm imagining just at some point I needed to kind of like protect myself or comfort myself or be create a haven, a seemingly safe haven for myself. And at some point, I needed to do that. At an early point, felt like I needed to do that on my own. Like I had to be a master of that. And that's, I continue to do that. It's like protect, pad, create the safe, it's like create the happy place, create the safe place, keep the monsters out. The world is not a safe place. It's anxious, it's peril around every corner. And if I can just take this boulder and pad it, then I can protect myself. But I also recognize that that it's lonely, and I kind of die a little bit in there, in this very comfortable death house. Ecstatic death. And I don't want comfortable death. I want, vibrant life, even if not comfortable. So I practice taking off my padding, and I practice scary little chinks in the padding and letting others in, and knowing that I don't have to do it all myself. I don't have to be the protector at all times. And I don't have to shut out the world, even if it is scary sometimes. And I also know it's not all scary, like I was led to believe. So it's kind of like one of those like sumo suits that you wear to play those games on the balance beam or whatever, and sometimes it can be protective, but like I don't need it on at all times, and it's fucking sweaty inside, man. It's like you just need to like set it down every once in a while and just be like, ah. So that's it. Thanks.
As you're gonna belly dance.
So, as a means of honoring what we just did and exiting the experience, if we just want to say one word about what that was like for each of us, that might be helpful.
Liberating.
I would say murky.
I would say healing.
Grounding.
Insightful.
And I wonder if we all had like one movement that went with what we did, like even a 10-second movement, if we did them all in unison, if it would be a way of creating an ecstatic, well, imagine that Kate's participating. Like, can you guys do that? Do you think we could come up with one movement and do them together? Because I think that would create that sense of ecstasy that can help move as a collective what we're all feeling somewhere else.
Each person has a movement, or we all do?
Each person has a movement that we do in unison, but a movement related to what we just shared. Like, for example, mine might be, that would be mine, right? And then what would yours be? Good. You got one?
I would be kicking my leg.
Perfect. Marty, do you have one?
Mine would be Okay, cool. So this may or may not videotape, but let's just do it. Yeah, let's just do it all together all at the same time.
You're probably not on there.
Okay. Okay. Ready? Here we go. You do your own. Everybody does their own at the same time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay. Go. Ecstasy!
Ecstasy!
Yeah.
Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul again. Carry away my dead leaves. Let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. Sink my pains and complaints. Let the river take them. River, drown them. My ego and my blame. Let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. Those old means are so ashamed. Let the river take them. River, drown them. Come to your river. I will come to your river. I will come to your river. Come to your river. Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul again. Carry away my old leaves. Let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. Sink my pains and complaints. Let the river take them. River, drown them. My ego and my blame. Let me baptize my soul with the help of your waters. Those old me's so ashamed. Let the river take them. River, drown them. Come to your river. I will come to your river. I will come to your river. Come to your river. Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul. I will come to your river. Wash my soul again.